Why do some people succeed seemingly with ease while the vast majority struggle, stagnate, and ultimately fail to achieve the life they dream of? You see it every day. You work hard. You have good intentions. You want more for yourself and your family. And yet you feel stuck, running on a treadmill, watching others with less talent, less intelligence, and less integrity race past you. You are left with a gnawing, frustrating question. What am I missing? You have been led to believe that success is a matter of luck, of genius, of circumstance, of having the right connections. This is the great, comforting lie that the 99% tell themselves. It is the narrative that allows them to accept their own mediocrity, to make peace with their quiet desperation. It is a lie because it absolves them of responsibility. It suggests that success is an external event that happens to you. The truth is far more brutal and far more empowering. Success is not an event. It is a system. It is a formula. And failure is not an accident. It is the predictable, almost guaranteed outcome of living by the world's default settings. 99% of people fail because they are living on autopilot. They are drifting through life, reacting to their circumstances instead of creating them. They are passive passengers in a vehicle they are not steering, and they are wondering why they are not arriving at their desired destination. This audiobook is the manual that puts you in the driver's seat. It is the operating system of the 1%. We will dissect, with surgical precision, the invisible scripts and the default programming that guarantee failure. And we will replace them, piece by piece, with the mindset, the principles, and the systems that make success an inevitability. This is not about motivation. Motivation is a fleeting emotion, a cheap fuel that burns out quickly. This is about architecture. This is about building a life by design, not by default. We will expose the subtle traps that ensnare the masses, the lure of comfort, the addiction to distraction, the tyranny of other people's opinions, the fear of failure. And we will give you the weapons to not just overcome them, but to use them as fuel for your own ascent. If you are tired of being a statistic, if you are ready to stop being a leaf in the wind and start being the storm, then you are in the right place. The principles you are about to learn are not theories, they are laws. They are the physics of achievement. If you apply them, they will work just as surely as the law of gravity. The life you want is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. The choice to stop drifting and start driving. The choice starts now. To ensure you stay on this path and continue to receive the hard-hitting truths you need to win, subscribe to this channel right now. Don't be part of the 99% who consume information and do nothing. Be the 1% who commits, acts, and transforms their reality. Subscribe now and let's begin the work. And if you find value by the end of this video, please leave a meaningful comment to keep motivating us to make content like this. Chapter 1: The Default Path, Drifting Through Life. Let us begin by diagnosing the disease. Before we can speak of a cure, we must have the courage to look at the pathology of failure with unflinching honesty. The single, unifying characteristic of the 99% who fail is not a lack of talent, a lack of intelligence, or even a lack of desire. It is that they are drifters. They are living their lives on the default path. They are a ship without a rudder, being pushed and pulled by the currents of their environment, their impulses, and the expectations of others. Their life is not a deliberate creation. It is a series of reactions. Think about the average person's day. They are woken up not by their own internal clock, but by an alarm they despise, a signal that they must now go and serve someone else's agenda. The very first thing they do is reach for their phone, and in that single, unconscious act, they surrender the most valuable, impressionable moments of their day to a flood of other people's emergencies, opinions, and curated highlight reels. They begin their day not from a position of power and intention, but from a position of reactive, defensive chaos. They go to a job that they tolerate, not one that they chose with purpose. They follow a career path that was laid out for them by their parents, their teachers, or by what society deemed safe and respectable. They spend their evenings numbing the quiet desperation of their unlived lives with passive consumption, binge-watching television, scrolling through social media, eating junk food. Their life is a blur of comfortable, easy, and ultimately unfulfilling routines. They are on a train that is moving, but they have no idea of its final destination, and they have never once questioned if they are even on the right track. This is the drift. It is the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance, by its very nature, will always lead you downhill. Success, on the other hand, is an uphill climb. It requires a conscious, deliberate, and sustained effort against the gravitational pull of mediocrity. The drifter believes a myth. They believe that one day they will find their passion, and this passion will act as a magical engine that will effortlessly propel them to success. So they wait, they dabble, they hope to be struck by a lightning bolt of purpose. The winner knows that this is a lie. Passion is not something you find, it is something you cultivate. It is not the cause of action, it is the result of it. It is the byproduct of committing to a path, of putting in the work, of developing a skill, and of seeing the results of your effort. The drifter is waiting for a feeling to inspire them to act. The winner acts, and in doing so generates the feeling of inspiration. The drift is seductive because it is comfortable. It requires no difficult choices, no risk, no potential for failure. You are simply going with the flow, but the flow is leading you to a destination of regret. It is leading to that moment, years from now, when you will look back on your life and be haunted by the ghost of the person you could have become. The first and most critical step in avoiding failure is to recognize that you are, to some degree, a drifter. You must accept that your life up to this point has likely been more of a reaction than a creation. You must have the courage to admit that you have been living on autopilot. This awareness is the first act of rebellion against the default path. You must become an auditor of your own life. For 1 week, I want you to observe yourself like a scientist. Why are you doing what you are doing? Is the career you are in a conscious choice, or something you just fell into? Are the things you spend your money on aligned with your deepest values, or are they impulsive attempts to buy a feeling of happiness? Is the way you spend your evenings a deliberate act of renewal and growth, or a mindless act of escape? This is not an exercise in self-judgment. It is an exercise in data collection. You are simply shining a light on the unconscious patterns that are currently running your life. The 99% will never do this. It is too uncomfortable. They would rather remain in the comfortable darkness of their own ignorance. But you are not the 99%. Your journey away from failure begins with this one profound act of awareness. You are waking up from the trance. You are realizing that the ship you are on is adrift, and it is heading for the rocks. In the next chapter, we will discuss the first and most important action you must take to seize control of the helm. But for now, the victory is in the seeing. You see the drift. You see how it has shaped your life. And you have made the decision that you will be a drifter no more. You are ready to become the captain. Chapter 2, the first principle, sees absolute control. You have seen the drift. You have recognized the passive, reactive nature of the default path that leads 99% of people to failure. You are now awake at the helm of your own ship, and you are ready to take control. This brings us to the first and most foundational principle of the winner's operating system. It is the habit that makes all other success possible. It is the act of seizing absolute, 100% control over your own life. This is the principle of radical ownership. The drifter, the person on the default path, is a master of the blame game. Their life is a long list of external forces that are responsible for their lack of success. They blame the economy. They blame their unfair boss. They blame their lack of a formal education. They blame their upbringing. They blame their genetics. Their narrative is always one of a victim, a powerless pawn being acted upon by a world that is rigged against them. This victim mindset is a psychological poison. It is an excuse that masquerades as a reason. While it may provide a temporary comfort, a soothing balm for a bruised ego, it is also a cage. As long as you believe that someone or something else is responsible for your situation, you have given them all the power. You are waiting for the world to change, for your boss to become fair, for the economy to improve. You are a passenger, and you are waiting for a rescue that will never come. The winner, the architect of their own life, makes a different choice. It is a terrifying and exhilarating choice. They choose to accept 100% responsibility for everything in their life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Their financial situation, their responsibility, their physical health, their responsibility, the quality of their relationships, their responsibility, their level of happiness and fulfillment, their responsibility. This is not about fault. It is about power. The moment you accept responsibility for your current reality is the moment you reclaim the power to create a new one. If your actions and choices led you to where you are, then a new set of actions and choices can lead you somewhere else. The control is yours. You are no longer a passenger. You are the driver. You are the source of the problem, and therefore, you can be the source of the solution. This is the most profound mindset shift you will ever make. It is the transition from being a child, who is dependent on others, to being an adult, who is the creator of their own world. This is not about denying that external challenges exist. The world is not always fair. There will be obstacles, but the winner understands that while they cannot control every event that happens to them, they have absolute, unwavering control over their response to those events. And their response is what defines their destiny. Two people can face the exact same setback, a job loss, for example. The drifter, the victim, will see it as a catastrophe. They will blame the company, they will complain about their bad luck, and they will sink into a state of helplessness. The owner, the architect, will see it as an event. They will feel the pain, but then they will ask a different set of questions. What is the opportunity here? What can I learn from this? What actions can I take, starting right now, to create an even better outcome? The first person is paralyzed. The second person is empowered. The event was the same. The response was everything. So how do you cultivate this habit of radical ownership? You must become a ruthless editor of your own language and your own thoughts. You must declare war on the victim's vocabulary. You will eliminate the phrases "I have to," "I can't," and "it's not my fault" from your life. You will replace them with the language of choice and ownership. Instead of "I have to go to work," you will say, "I choose to go to work." This simple shift reminds you of your own agency. Instead of "I can't afford that," you will ask, "How can I create the value to afford that?" This shifts your brain from a state of limitation to a state of problem solving. Instead of blaming others, you will constantly ask yourself, "What was my role in this? How can I take ownership of the solution?" This is a daily practice. It is a mental muscle that you must build. Your brain, conditioned by years of default programming, will fight you. It will want to revert to the comfortable, easy path of blame. You must be disciplined. You must be vigilant. You are reprogramming your own mind. This is the bedrock of all success. You cannot build a skyscraper on a foundation of excuses. You cannot create a life of victory from a mindset of victimhood. The 99% fail because they are waiting for the world to give them what they want. The 1% succeed because they have decided to take it. They have seized control. They have accepted that they, and they alone, are responsible for the life they create. This is your first and most important principle. It is the key that unlocks the door to your own power. Seize it. Chapter 3: The Great Chasm, Escaping the Hell of Inaction. You have taken the helm. You have accepted radical ownership. You are now in the driver's seat, and you are no longer blaming the traffic for your position. This is a monumental step. But now, you face the second great pitfall of the 99%, the vast and tragic chasm where most dreams and ambitions go to die. This is the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. This is the hell of inaction. The 99% are professional consumers of information. They are expert planners, world-class researchers, and amateur executors. They live in a world of theory. They read the books. They listen to the podcasts. They watch the seminars. They can tell you with great intelligence and detail exactly what they should be doing to improve their lives, but they don't do it. They are trapped in a state of analysis paralysis. They are waiting for the perfect plan, for the perfect moment, for the perfect alignment of the stars. They are waiting for the fear to go away, for the risk to be eliminated. Of course, the perfect moment never arrives and the fear never completely disappears. And so they remain stuck, their potential locked away behind a wall of their own intellectualization. Their constant learning is not a tool for progress. It is a sophisticated form of procrastination. It gives them the comforting feeling of being productive, without ever forcing them to take the terrifying risk of putting their ideas to the test in the real world. The winner, the successful individual, has a fundamentally different relationship with action. They have a deep, instinctual, and unwavering bias toward it. They understand a profound truth. Clarity is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite for it. You do not think your way to clarity. You act your way to clarity. You cannot steer a parked car. The winner would rather take messy, imperfect, and immediate action than wait for a perfect plan that may never come. They see action not as the final step of a process, but as the first. Action is not just about getting a result. Action is about getting data. When you act, you create a feedback loop with reality. You find out what works and what doesn't. You learn. A business idea is a worthless fantasy until you make your first sales call. A fitness goal is a dream until you do your first push-up. The 99% are terrified of this feedback loop. They are afraid of making a mistake. They are afraid of looking foolish. They are afraid of the verdict of failure. The winner craves this feedback. They understand that there is no such thing as failure. There is only data. Every no in a sales call is a piece of data that can be used to improve the next pitch. Every failed workout is a piece of data about your current limits. They are not failing, they are learning. And the person who is willing to learn the fastest by taking the most action and gathering the most data is the person who will inevitably win. So how do you bridge this chasm? How do you escape the hell of inaction? You must adopt the principle of the minimum viable action. For any goal that is intimidating you, you must break down the first step into something so ridiculously small, so laughably easy, that it is impossible to procrastinate on. This is the 2-minute rule in practice. If you want to write a book, you do not sit down to write a chapter. You sit down to write one sentence. If you want to get in shape, you do not commit to a 2-hour workout. You commit to putting on your workout clothes. The goal of this minimum viable action is not to achieve the outcome. The goal is to break the inertia. The goal is to get the object in motion. The greatest point of resistance is always at the beginning. By making the beginning absurdly easy, you bypass your brain's fear and procrastination response. And once you have started, once you have written that one sentence, you will often find that the momentum carries you into a second sentence, and then a paragraph. You are using a small action to generate motivation, not waiting for motivation to generate a big action. You must also fundamentally change your relationship with confidence. The 99% believe that they must feel confident before they can act. This is the paralysis loop. The winner knows that confidence is a result of action, not a requirement for it. You do not feel your way into a new way of acting. You act your way into a new way of feeling. You build confidence not by thinking about it, but by accumulating a portfolio of evidence that you are a person who takes action. Every small, courageous step you take is a deposit into your confidence account. You must have the courage to act scared. You must be willing to be a clumsy beginner. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. The 99% fail because they are trapped on the safe, comfortable, and ultimately tragic side of the chasm of inaction. They die with their music still inside them. You will be different. You will be a builder of bridges. You will close the gap between knowing and doing with the raw material of your own courageous, imperfect, and consistent action. What is the one small, minimum viable action you can take right now on your most important goal? Do not think about it. Do not plan it. Just do it. That is your first step out of the hell of inaction and onto the path of the winner. Chapter 4. The Siren's Song, Winning the War Against Distraction. You have taken ownership. You have committed to action. You are in the car and you are driving. But now, as you begin to pick up speed, you encounter the third great force that causes 99% of people to fail. It is a modern, insidious, and relentless enemy. It is the siren's song of distraction. We live in an age of engineered distraction. There are entire industries, with billion-dollar budgets and armies of the world's brightest minds, dedicated to one single purpose: to capture and monetize your attention. Your smartphone, your social media feeds, your streaming services, your news alerts, these are not neutral tools. They are precision-engineered weapons designed to hijack the reward centers of your brain and keep you in a state of perpetual, low-grade distraction. The 99% of people are losing this war, and they don't even know they are fighting it. They are living in a state of continuous partial attention. Their focus is fractured into 100 tiny pieces. They cannot sit with a single task for more than a few minutes without feeling the irresistible Pavlovian pull to check their phone, to refresh their email, to open a new tab. Their minds are like a leaky bucket, their precious cognitive energy draining away through 1,000 small holes. They are busy but not productive. They are consuming but not creating. They are connected but not present. This constant state of distraction is not just killing your productivity, it is killing your potential. The ability to engage in deep work, to focus without distraction on a single cognitively demanding task for a sustained period, is the superpower of the 21st century. It is the skill that allows you to produce work of the highest quality and value. It is the skill that is becoming increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. The 99% have lost this ability. Their brains have been rewired for novelty and constant stimulation. The winner, the successful individual, understands that their attention is their most valuable asset. They guard it with a ferocity that the average person would find extreme. They are not passive victims of the attention economy. They are conscious architects of their own focus. They know that you cannot win a war by relying on willpower alone. You must build a fortress. The first step in winning this war is to declare your environment a no-fly zone for distraction during your most important work. This is not a negotiation. When it is time for deep work, your phone must be in another room, not on silent, not face down on the desk. Its mere presence is a cognitive drain. It must be physically inaccessible. This single habit is a game changer. You must also be ruthless with your digital environment. Turn off every single notification on your phone and your computer. Every buzz, every pop-up, every red badge is a sniper, an enemy soldier sent to break your concentration. You must eliminate them. You must shift from a push system, where technology is constantly pushing information at you, to a pull system, where you decide when you want to pull in new information. You check your email on your schedule, not on the schedule of the sender. The second step is to build the habit of monotasking. You must destroy the myth of multitasking in your own mind. The brain cannot focus on two things at once. It is simply switching rapidly between them, and every switch comes with a cognitive cost. You are not multitasking. You are task switching, and it is making you less efficient, more stressed, and producing lower quality work. The winner embraces the power of doing one thing at a time. They architect their day in focused, single-tasking blocks. For 90 minutes, they do one thing and one thing only. They are fully immersed, and it is in this state of immersion that they enter flow, the state of peak performance where breakthrough work happens. The third step is to train your mind itself. Your brain is a muscle. If you have spent years training it to be distracted, it will be weak. You must take it to the mental gym. The most effective workout is the practice of mindfulness or meditation. This is a simple, secular exercise in which you practice placing your attention on a single object, like your breath, and gently bringing it back every time it wanders. Every time you bring your attention back, you are doing one repetition. You are strengthening the neural pathways of focus and control. This is the inner work that makes the outer focus possible. The 99% fail because their attention is not their own. It is a commodity that is being bought and sold by forces they do not understand. They are living a second-hand life, their thoughts and their focus dictated by the algorithms of others. You must be different. You must reclaim your sovereignty. You must have the discipline to disconnect, to embrace silence, and to protect your mind from the relentless noise of the modern world. This is not about becoming a hermit. It is about becoming a professional. It is about understanding that the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of your attention. Guard your focus as if your life depends on it, because it does. Chapter 5: The Tyranny of Now: Escaping the Instant Gratification Trap. You have taken control, you are acting, and you are protecting your focus. You are now a formidable machine of productivity. But there is a subtle and powerful force that can still derail your journey. It is a psychological trap that has been wired into the very fabric of our modern culture, and it is a primary reason why 99% of people fail to achieve their long-term goals. This is the tyranny of now. It is the addiction to instant gratification. We live in a world that has been optimized for immediacy. You want food, it's delivered in minutes. You want entertainment, it's available on demand. You want to buy something, it arrives on your doorstep tomorrow. We have been trained, like Pavlov's dogs, to expect an immediate reward for every impulse. This has had a devastating effect on our ability to pursue anything of long-term significance. The 99% are slaves to this tyranny. Their decisions are governed by the question, what will make me feel good right now? They choose the pleasure of the junk food over the long-term benefit of a healthy body. They choose the comfort of a mindless TV show over the long-term growth of reading a challenging book. They choose the thrill of an expensive impulse buy over the long-term security of investing that money. Their entire life is a series of short-term trades, sacrificing their future freedom for present comfort. They are eating their seed corn and they are wondering why their harvest never comes. The winner, the successful individual, has mastered the art of delayed gratification. They understand that every significant achievement in human history, from building a pyramid to building a business, is the result of sacrificing present comfort for a future reward. They are not driven by the question, "What do I want now?" They are driven by the question, "What does my future self want me to do now?" They have the emotional maturity and the long-term vision to plant the seed, to water it, to nurture it, and to have the patience to wait for the harvest. This is not a personality trait. It is a trainable skill. The ability to delay gratification is a muscle, and for most people it is severely atrophied. You must build it, rep by rep, through your daily choices. The first step is to create a clear and compelling vision for your future. You cannot sacrifice for a future that is vague and uninspiring. You must know with crystal clear clarity why you are making the sacrifice. What is the freedom you are building? What is the impact you want to have? You must have a why that is so powerful that it can overpower the seductive pull of now. Write it down. Visualize it. Make it real in your mind. This vision is your North Star, the thing that will guide you when the temptations of the moment try to pull you off course. The second step is to create friction for your bad, instant gratification habits. You must make it harder to do the wrong thing. If you are prone to impulse online shopping, delete your saved credit card information from your browser. If you eat too much junk food, don't have it in your house. The 99% rely on willpower to resist a temptation that is right in front of them. The winner uses architecture to remove the temptation from their environment entirely. The third step is to create rewards for your good, delayed gratification habits. You must learn to get a dopamine hit not from the consumption but from the discipline. This is where habit tracking comes in. Every time you perform your good habit, be it saving money, exercising, or working on your long-term project, you put a big X on a calendar. The act of not breaking the chain becomes a reward in itself. You are gamifying discipline. You are teaching your brain to get a hit of satisfaction from the act of showing up, from the process itself, not just from the far-off result. The tyranny of now is a powerful enemy because it speaks the language of your primal brain, the part of you that is wired for immediate survival and pleasure. The 99% live their entire lives under its rule. They are perpetually trading their long-term dreams for short-term distractions. Their life is the sum of their immediate impulses. You must stage a rebellion. You must have the courage to declare that your future is more important than your feelings in this moment. You must become a farmer in a world of consumers. You must be willing to plant, to wait, and to tend to your future while everyone else is feasting on the fleeting pleasures of today. This is the path of the owner. This is the path of the architect. And it is a path that is closed to all who have not mastered their own impulses. Escape the tyranny of now, and you will unlock the power to create almost any future you can imagine. Chapter 6. The comfort zone is a cage. The necessity of strategic discomfort. You are now a disciplined operator. You have taken control, you are acting with focus, and you are playing the long game. You are building a powerful engine. But an engine, no matter how powerful, is useless if it is kept in a garage. To reach new destinations, you must be willing to drive on unfamiliar and often difficult roads. This brings us to the fifth great reason why 99% of people fail. They are trapped in a cage of their own making. That cage is the comfort zone. Your brain is a survival machine. Its primary directive is to keep you safe. And to your primal brain, what is safe is what is known, what is familiar, what is comfortable. Anything new, anything uncertain, anything that requires a stretch of your current abilities is perceived as a threat. And so, your brain creates a powerful, invisible fence around the territory of your current life. This is your comfort zone. The 99% of people live their entire lives within the confines of this cage. They go to the same places, they talk to the same people, they eat the same foods, and they take on the same familiar tasks at work. Their life is a predictable, comfortable, and ultimately stagnant loop. They have unknowingly made comfort their primary value, and in doing so, they have sacrificed their growth. Because there is a fundamental and unbreakable law of the universe. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. All growth, physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, happens at the boundary of your comfort zone. It is in the moment of struggle, in the feeling of strain, in the awkwardness of being a beginner, that you expand. The muscle does not grow when it is lifting an easy weight. It grows when it is struggling against the resistance of a challenging one. The mind does not expand when it is consuming familiar ideas. It expands when it is wrestling with a complex and difficult concept. The winner, the successful individual, understands this law. They have a radically different relationship with comfort than the 99%. They do not see comfort as a goal. They see it as a sign of stagnation. They do not run from the feeling of discomfort. They run towards it. They have learned to reframe the feeling of struggle. For the 99%, the feeling of discomfort is a signal to stop, to retreat to safety. For the winner, the feeling of discomfort is a signal that they are in the growth zone. It is the compass pointing them in the direction of their own evolution. They have learned to fall in love with the process of stretching their own limits. This is not about being a masochist or seeking out pointless pain. It is about the deliberate and strategic use of discomfort. It is about identifying the areas of your life where you want to grow, and then consciously and systematically taking actions that push you just beyond your current level of competence. If you want to become a better leader, you must deliberately put yourself in situations where you have to lead, even when it feels terrifying. If you want to become more resilient, you must deliberately take on hard things, like taking a cold shower or completing a grueling workout, to prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort. One of the most powerful forms of strategic discomfort is the active pursuit of feedback. The 99% are terrified of criticism. Their ego is fragile. They surround themselves with people who will tell them what they want to hear. The winner actively hunts for the truth. They go to the mentors and the colleagues who will be brutally honest with them. They know that this honest and often uncomfortable feedback is a gift. It is a mirror that shows them their blind spots, the very areas where their greatest potential for growth lies. You must become a seeker of productive struggle. You must stop asking, "What is the easy path?" and start asking, "What is the path of greatest growth?" You must have the courage to be a beginner again and again. Learn a new skill that you are terrible at. Try a new sport. The act of being clumsy, of making mistakes, is an incredibly powerful antidote to the ego's desire to always look good. It keeps you humble, it keeps you learning, and it keeps your comfort zone constantly expanding. The 99% fail because they die in their comfort zone. They choose the slow, comfortable death of their potential over the short-term, acute discomfort of growth. Their cage is not locked from the outside. It is locked from the inside. They hold the key, but they are too afraid to use it. You will be different. You will see your comfort zone not as a home, but as a starting block. You will see the feeling of discomfort not as a threat, but as a guide. You will make a habit of leaning into the friction, of running toward the roar. This is the habit that transforms you from a person who is merely surviving into a person who is constantly evolving. It is the habit that ensures your journey is not just a straight line, but an endless, upward spiral of growth. Chapter 7: The External Scoreboard, Playing for an Audience of One. You are now a formidable operator, pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone and embracing the path of growth. But as you begin to achieve more, as you become more visible, you will encounter a subtle and powerful trap that ensnares even many high achievers. This is the sixth reason the 99% fail to find lasting success and fulfillment. They are playing their game for the wrong audience. They are living their lives according to an external scoreboard. From a very young age, we are trained to seek external validation. We seek the approval of our parents, the gold stars from our teachers, the applause of the crowd. Our sense of self-worth becomes entangled with the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. The 99% never outgrow this. They become adults who are still desperately playing for the approval of an external audience. They choose a career path to impress their parents. They buy a car and a house to keep up with the Joneses. They post pictures on social media, carefully curating an image of a perfect life, and then anxiously wait for the likes to roll in. Their life is a performance, and their confidence is a fragile thing, completely dependent on the applause of the spectators. This is a game you can never win. First, because you can never please everyone. Second, because you can never control what other people think. And third, because the audience is, for the most part, not even paying attention. They are too busy worrying about what you are thinking of them. Living by the external scoreboard is a recipe for a life of anxiety, inauthenticity, and ultimately, failure to achieve your own true potential, because you are too busy chasing someone else's definition of success. The winner, the truly successful and fulfilled individual, plays a different game. They have made a profound shift. They have turned their attention away from the external scoreboard and have focused on the only one that truly matters, their internal scoreboard. They are playing for an audience of one, themselves. Their primary driver is not the pursuit of external validation, but the pursuit of self-respect. Their goal is not to impress others. It is to live in alignment with their own values and to meet their own standards. This is the source of true, unshakable confidence. It is a confidence that is generated from within, that is not dependent on the praise or the criticism of the outside world. So how do you make this shift? First, you must get radically clear on what your own internal scoreboard is. You must define your own definition of success. What are your core values? What is your personal mission? What is the standard of character and effort that you are setting for yourself? You must write this down. This is your personal constitution. The 99% have never done this. Their values are a vague and fuzzy collection of ideas they have absorbed from society. The winner has a clear, written code that they live by. This code becomes their compass, their guide for every decision. Second, you must practice detaching your actions from the outcome and attaching them to your process. The 99% are attached to the result, the promotion, the sale, the victory. The winner is attached to their effort. At the end of the day, the winner does not ask, "Did I win?" They ask, "Did I give my absolute best effort? Did I execute my plan with excellence? Did I live up to my own standards of integrity?" If the answer is yes, then they have won on their internal scoreboard, regardless of the external result. This is the mindset of the professional. They focus on the variables they can control, their preparation, their attitude, their actions, and they release their attachment to the variables they cannot control. Third, you must become your own source of validation. You must learn to be your own coach and your own cheerleader. This is where a practice like a daily review or journaling is so powerful. At the end of each day, you have a private meeting with your audience of one. You acknowledge your wins, the times you lived up to your code. You analyze your setbacks, not with judgment but with a desire to learn and improve. You are building an internal feedback loop that is far more important than any feedback you will get from the outside world. When you learn to earn your own respect, the respect of others becomes a pleasant bonus, not a desperate necessity. The 99% fail because they are chameleons, constantly changing their colors to please an ever-shifting audience. They are hollow on the inside. You must be different. You must be a rock, solid and unmovable in your own values and your own standards. You must have the courage to disappoint others in order to be true to yourself. This is not about being selfish. It is about understanding that you cannot make a genuine contribution to the world if you are not operating from a place of authentic internal strength. Stop looking to the stands for applause. The only scoreboard that matters is the one you hold within. Play for an audience of one. Earn their respect every single day, and you will have achieved a level of success that the 99% can only dream of. Chapter 8: The Stagnation Delusion. Commit to perpetual growth. You are now a formidable individual, operating with a powerful internal compass. But there is one final, subtle reason why many people who achieve a measure of success ultimately fail to sustain it and reach their full potential. They fall victim to the stagnation delusion. The stagnation delusion is the belief that you can arrive. It is the idea that learning is a finite phase, that personal growth has a finish line. The 99% of people operate on this model. They work hard to get their degree, to get the promotion, to reach a certain level of competence, and then they stop. They believe they have made it. They put their personal and professional development on cruise control. They stop reading. They stop seeking out new challenges. They stop questioning their own assumptions. They become defenders of their current knowledge rather than explorers of new territory. And in a world that is defined by rapid and relentless change, this is a fatal error. In the 21st century, if you are not actively growing, you are actively dying. If you are not learning, you are becoming obsolete. The knowledge and skills that made you successful yesterday will not be sufficient to keep you successful tomorrow. The person who stops growing is like a ship that has dropped its anchor in the middle of a powerful river. The river of change will simply flow past them, leaving them behind, a relic of a bygone era. The winner, the individual who achieves and sustains success for a lifetime, has rejected the stagnation delusion entirely. They have committed to a life of perpetual growth. They understand that there is no finish line. There is no point of arrival. There is only the journey of becoming. They are not just a professional in their field. They are a professional student of their field for life. This is the essence of a growth mindset. It is the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, and your talents are not fixed traits, but are muscles that can be developed through dedication and hard work. The 99% have a fixed mindset. They believe they are who they are, and they spend their lives trying to prove their existing worth. The winner has a growth mindset. They believe they are always a work in progress, and they spend their lives trying to improve their worth. This commitment to perpetual growth is not a vague intention. It is a structured, daily habit. The winner has a system for learning. They dedicate a non-negotiable block of time each day to the deliberate intake and processing of new information. They are voracious readers. They are constant seekers of new skills. They see their mind as their single greatest asset, and they are constantly investing in its appreciation. They also understand that growth is not just about acquiring new knowledge. It is about challenging and unlearning old beliefs. The winner is willing to be wrong. They have a loose grip on their own opinions and a strong grip on their desire for the truth. They actively seek out dissenting opinions and opposing viewpoints, not to argue with them, but to understand them. They know that their current worldview is incomplete, and they are always looking to upgrade it. The 99% are married to their beliefs. Their ego is fused with being right. The winner is married to the truth, and they are willing to divorce their own ego to get closer to it. Furthermore, the habit of perpetual growth is what keeps you humble, hungry, and adaptable. The moment you believe you have it all figured out is the moment you become rigid and brittle, unable to adapt to the inevitable changes of the world. The lifelong learner is fluid, agile, and always ready for what's next. They are not afraid of the future because they know they have a system for learning how to thrive in it. The 99% fail because they reach a plateau and they mistake it for the summit. They get comfortable. They stop climbing. And they are eventually overtaken by those who are still hungry, still learning, still climbing. You must make a different commitment. You must commit to being a student for life. You must see every day as an opportunity to get a little bit better, a little bit smarter, a little bit more capable. You must be willing to be a beginner over and over again. Your journey is not to a destination called success. Your journey is an infinite upward spiral of growth. Embrace this path, and you will not only avoid the failure of stagnation, you will create a life of endless evolution and ever-expanding potential. This is the habit that keeps the game exciting for a lifetime. Chapter 9: The Verdict of Failure: How to Become Anti-Fragile. There is one final, great fear that paralyzes the 99% and guarantees their ultimate failure. It is the fear of failure itself. They see failure as a final, damning verdict on their worth. To them, a failed business means I am a failure. A rejection means I am not good enough. They are so terrified of this verdict that they refuse to even enter the courtroom. They play it safe. They take no risks. They live their lives in the shallow end of the pool, never venturing into the deep water where the great treasures of life are found. Their fear of failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, guaranteeing a life that is, by its very nature, a failure to reach their own potential. The winner, the successful individual, has a radically different relationship with failure. They do not see it as a verdict. They see it as a vital and necessary part of the process. They have not just learned to tolerate failure, they have learned to use it. They have learned to become anti-fragile. The concept of anti-fragility, coined by the author Nassim Taleb, is a step beyond mere resilience. A resilient system is one that can withstand a shock and return to its original state. An anti-fragile system is one that actually gets stronger from shocks, from volatility, from failure. Your immune system is anti-fragile. It gets stronger after being exposed to a pathogen. Your muscles are anti-fragile. They get stronger after being stressed to the point of microscopic tearing. The winner has learned to build an anti-fragile mind, an anti-fragile career, and an anti-fragile life. They do not just survive failure, they feast on it. It is the fuel for their growth. The first step in becoming anti-fragile is to completely depersonalize failure. You must separate your ego from the outcome. The result of an action is not a reflection of your inherent worth as a person. It is simply the result of a specific strategy, applied in a specific context at a specific time. If the result is not what you wanted, the only logical response is to analyze the data, extract the lesson, adjust the strategy, and run the experiment again. The 99% are emotionally devastated by failure because their identity is fused with the result. The winner is a detached scientist. They are not their experiments. Their identity is that of the experimenter, the learner, the one who is constantly getting smarter. The second step is to increase your rate of failure. This may sound paradoxical, but it is the secret to all rapid progress. The person who is willing to fail the most and to learn from those failures the fastest is the person who will inevitably succeed. You must deliberately take on challenges that have a high probability of failure. You must be willing to look foolish. You must be willing to be a beginner. The 99% are trying to maintain a perfect record. The winner is trying to maximize their rate of learning, and they know that failure is the fastest teacher. They are not trying to avoid getting hit. They are trying to get more sparring rounds in the ring. Every failure is a repetition. Every repetition is building a muscle. You are building the muscle of resilience, of problem solving, of humility. You are building calluses on your mind, making you tougher and more capable of handling the larger challenges to come. The third step is to develop a post-failure ritual. After a setback, the 99% either blame the world or they beat themselves up. Both are useless, disempowering responses. The winner has a system. They allow themselves a short, defined period to feel the frustration or the disappointment. And then they engage in a constructive debrief. They ask a series of questions. What was my goal? What actually happened? What was the gap? What can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? This is a process of turning the raw, emotional energy of failure into the cool, clear logic of a refined strategy. It is an act of alchemy, transforming the lead of a setback into the gold of a lesson. The 99% fail because they are fragile. A single, significant setback can break them, causing them to retreat from their ambitions forever. They are a glass cup. The winner is anti-fragile. They are a steel sword. Every time they are struck by the hammer of adversity, they do not shatter, they are tempered. They become harder, sharper, and more formidable. Stop running from failure. It is the shadow that proves you are standing in the light of action. Run towards it, embrace it, use it. It is not the enemy of your success. It is the very raw material from which it is forged. This is the final and most powerful mindset of the 1%. They are not afraid of falling, because they know that every time they get back up, they are stronger than they were before. Chapter 10: The Unbreakable System. Living a life by design, not by default. We have journeyed through the 9 primary reasons why 99% of people fail. We have dissected the default path of drifting, the victim mindset, the paralysis of inaction, the war against distraction, the tyranny of instant gratification, the cage of comfort, the reliance on external validation, the delusion of stagnation, and the fear of failure. You now have a clear diagnosis of the disease of mediocrity. But a diagnosis is not a cure. The final, unifying principle that separates the 1% from the 99% is this: the winner does not just have good intentions, they have an unbreakable system. The 99% live their lives based on hope. They hope they will feel motivated. They hope they will have enough willpower. They hope their circumstances will be favorable. Their life is a collection of fragmented, inconsistent efforts, a series of short sprints that never add up to a marathon. Their life is a product of default. The winner lives a life by design. They understand that success is not the result of a single heroic act, but the cumulative outcome of a well-designed daily system. They do not leave their progress to chance, to their mood, or to their fleeting inspiration. They build a machine, and that machine, when run consistently, guarantees their desired result. This unbreakable system is the integration of all the principles we have discussed. It is a holistic operating system for your life. It begins with the foundation of radical ownership. The system only works if you believe you are the one in control of it. On top of this foundation, you build a daily routine, a ritual that is designed to win the day. This routine begins the night before by defining your one thing, your ruthless priority for the next day. This is the application of ruthless prioritization. It continues in the morning with a protected block of time for deep work, where you wage war on distraction and execute on that priority. This is your bias toward action, channeled and focused. This system is not just about what you do, but how you do it. You are constantly engaged in relentless learning, feeding your system with new and better strategies. You are consistently practicing strategic discomfort, stress testing your system and expanding its capacity. You are playing for your internal scoreboard, ensuring your system is aligned with your own values, not the expectations of others. And you are becoming anti-fragile, using the inevitable setbacks and failures of the system not as a reason to quit, but as data to refine and improve the system itself. But the grease that keeps this entire machine running smoothly, the fuel that powers the engine, is the master principle of consistency. The system is only unbreakable if it is executed every single day. The winner understands that their job is not to achieve the goal. Their job is to run the system. They fall in love with the process. They derive their satisfaction from the daily act of showing up and executing their plan. They are not focused on the outcome. They are focused on the reps. This is the essence of a life by design. You are no longer a victim of your own impulses or the world's chaos. You are the architect, the engineer, and the operator of your own success machine. You have designed a system where the right choices are the easy choices. You have built a fortress of habits that protects you from the forces that cause the 99% to fail. This is not about becoming a rigid, unfeeling robot. It is about creating a structure that gives you true freedom. When your most important work is systemized and automated, it frees up your mental and emotional energy to be more present, more creative, and more spontaneous in the other areas of your life. The system provides the discipline that allows for true freedom. The 99% fail because they are trying to build a skyscraper with no blueprint, using whatever tools happen to be lying around. Their efforts are random, chaotic, and ultimately, they collapse. You are now the master architect. You have the complete blueprint. You understand the principles of structural integrity. You know which materials to use and which to discard. Your life is no longer a random construction. It is a deliberate creation. Your success is no longer a matter of hope. It is a matter of engineering. This is the final and most important lesson. Stop trying to be a successful person. Start building a successful system. The person you want to become is an inevitable byproduct of the system you run every single day. The system is the guarantee. Now, go and build it. The closing. The blueprint is now in your hands. We have dissected the anatomy of failure and laid out the architectural plans for a life of guaranteed success. The chasm between the 99% and the 1% is not a chasm of talent or of luck. It is a chasm of discipline, of mindset, and above all of system. You now have the bridge to cross that chasm, but the map is not the territory. Knowing the path is not the same as walking the path. The vast majority of people who have heard these words will be temporarily inspired. They will nod in agreement. And then, tomorrow, they will wake up and they will default. They will drift. They will react. They will fall back into the comfortable, familiar patterns that have defined their lives thus far. The gravity of the 99% is a powerful force, but you are not them. The fact that you have stayed until this final moment is evidence that you are ready. You are ready to stop being a statistic and start being a standard. You are ready to stop being a cautionary tale and start being a case study. The journey from here is not about a single, massive leap. It is about the next small, courageous step. It is about choosing to take ownership of one small problem you have been blaming on others. It is about taking one 2-minute action you have been procrastinating on. It is about saying no to one unimportant distraction to protect your focus. It is in these small daily victories that the entire war is won. This is no longer just about success. This is about self-respect. It is about forging a new identity. You are not a person who is trying to be disciplined. You are a disciplined person because you run a disciplined system. You are not a person who is hopping for success. You are a successful person because you live by the habits that guarantee it. The person you will become a year from now, 5 years from now, is being determined by the choices you make in the next 24 hours. The future is not a distant land you will one day arrive at. It is a structure you are building in the present moment with the raw material of your daily habits. The time for analysis is over. The time for action is now. You have the blueprint. You have the tools. You are the architect. Go and build your masterpiece.